So now you're going to actually be ready to say something. So we're going to develop an initial call strategy around how you handle the beginning of a conversation, a new conversation, and we call this Icebreak. Icebreak stands for quick introduction, a little bit about who you represent, and the purpose of your call. Then you get into the interaction, relating, establishing the context for the meeting, being prepared with some general questions, and then kicking off what we call the goods discussion, which is getting the goods. Getting the goods is all the insight into the customer to prepare you to propose and win business. And we'll get much more into what the goods are, but that's kind of a strategy. Within that strategy, you're free to kind of create and develop your own script, your own approach, things that work for you as an individual based on your personality and your experience and the things that you're most comfortable with. So, let's begin with some examples of an icebreak, and then you're going to have the opportunity to build your own. So, for the purposes of this class, this is just an example. This is not for you to judge whether it'll work or not. It's just an example for you to develop your own. All right, so we're going to begin with introduction. Hi, John. This is Nick with Tech Data. Thanks for taking my call. John, as you know, Tech Data, blah, blah, blah. Hey, the purpose of my call is just introduce myself and our company, to get some insight on you and your organization, determine how we can provide value to you. John, is there something else you'd like to make sure we cover today to make the best use of your time? What? How long did that take? How long do you think that was? About 12 seconds. What did we just do in 12 seconds?
We introduced us, the company, and set the tone.
Set the tone for the rest of the conversation. In 12 seconds. Who's in control? You are. Hi, John. This is Nick with Tech Data. As you may know, we provide tremendous value to our VARs. Purpose of my call today is just to introduce myself and our company, get a little more insight into you and your business and the things you value, and figure out how we can help you and provide some additional value. John, is there something else you'd like to talk about today to make sure we make the best use of your time? Boom. I'm in control. 10, 12, 13 seconds. Not only did I set the tone, but I also did what with my question?
Got the prospect engaged, because now you've asked him a question, so he's going to immediately engage.
And you know, we call that trigger point number one. We've engaged them with a question specifically around topics that they would be most interested in. That's how you engage people. You talk about things that they're most interested in. Get them to talk about things they're most interested in right off the bat. Their hot topics, not yours. And so it's the first time we begin to uncover what we call hot topics. Hot topics are your ammunition and your leverage for your follow-on questions. They become the source of the ongoing dialogue. The more hot topics you uncover early on, the more leverage you have to continue the dialogue and to get deeper insight into all the things that are important to that person, which is how you build trust with that individual. Now, the tendency when someone gives you a hot topic in the first 20 seconds of the conversation is what for most salespeople? You jump all over it. Do not jump all over it. Because there's more. Be patient. Stick to the plan. Because you may not have gotten the most important topic. Maybe you got the superficial topic. Maybe you got the first one that they're dealing with that morning, but it's not the most strategic for them. And so take your time. Move through the process. Stick to your plan. So let's talk a little bit about hot topics. Hot topics are the things that interest people the most. It's the things that impact their business, them personally. It's what's on top of mind. we want to uncover as many of these hot topics as early in the conversation as possible for a couple of reasons. One is it engages the customer because they're talking about things they care about. And that's the most important reason you ask questions around hot topics. Number two, you actually figure out what they care about, which gives you the basis and the substance for the rest of the dialogue. And that's how you keep their attention for a longer period of time. Because now they're engaged in something that has significant value to them. And then, of course, again, the most important part is they become the topics or the subject or the core component of your follow-up questions. If you don't uncover hot topics, your questions don't have enough oomph or substance to them. They're too generic. They're too bland. Hot topics give spice and meaning to the question. They make it valuable, they make it relevant, and they get people engaged and involved throughout the entire dialogue. So what we're going to do as part of an exercise during the class is, in groups, break up, and create hot topics in your industry, in your specific account base, in the things you're hearing, and come up with the top 5 hot topics. Because one of the things that will happen is you can start preparing some questions around creating a dialogue around those hot topics and let them let you know how important they are. And then we'll create the next 5, and at least we're going to have a foundation for some hot topics that help us pre-plan the meetings. Then after this exercise, we're now going to get into the interaction. So now the customer has given us hot topics, things they want to discuss. We just capture them, we don't say anything about them, we leave them alone, and we move on. We stick to our plan. Our plan is we go to the B, we begin the interaction, which is, hey John, I know you're really busy, but what prompted you to take my call? This is a second trigger point. John, I know you're really busy, but what prompted you to take my call? Now, what do you think the customer is going to start talking about?
Hot topic number 1.
Hot topics. It's a continuation. All we're doing is we're flushing out more hot topics. Hey, Tanya, I know you're really busy and you don't have 10, 15, 20 minutes to kill with me. So what prompted you to invest this time with me? What are some of the things that you care about most that prompted you or convinced you that this was a worthwhile conversation we should have? Anything that you're comfortable saying, but that's what you're after, is you're flushing out more of the hot topics. You're not responding, you're not reacting, you're not jumping on them, you're just letting them continue to talk. Because they may have given you 1 or 2 with the first question, this will give you a couple more. Now, if they gave you a ton of hot topics from the first trigger point, what do you think you should do with this question? Flush it. Like if you got enough information, don't ask them the next question. Move on to the next part. But what if you get someone on the line who doesn't say much? You need a second trigger point because sometimes you need a couple of ways of getting someone to talk. So it's a backup.
What about a negative?
Or you get a negative, right? So it's another way to diffuse the negative and kind of take it to another level. So a number of things could happen. So having a second trigger point allows you a backup if the first one didn't quite get you where you want to go. If the first one gets you where you want to go, you flush the second one. And then relating is just having some simple phrases that are innocent, yet are a transition from whatever they say. You don't want to get into long dialogues when someone tells you stuff. Oh, I know exactly how you feel. My brother-in-law did that. Bada. Who cares? It's more like, oh, I can appreciate what you're saying. Now, and then you move on and ask another question. So the relating part is just knowing that you have transition points and things you can say. I appreciate, thanks for sharing that with me. Some of our other customers kind of are experiencing similar kinds of things. So you got to be short, to the point we got to relate, and it's a transition to the next piece.